realized what I really wanted to do is prepare the athlete to get better, to be good enough to be able to win. In other words, teach. So I went off to South Nottingham College. I spent some years there, had great years there, had some really good successes with Nottingham kids from all over. And that's where I sort of spent the time to think, well, the next time I coach, I'd want to coach in an environment where fundamentally I had control of the environment and the intangibles. That doesn't happen in the UK. So I took time out, and again, I was another couple of years after Mansfield, and it was just by chance, Paul Douglas was in Birmingham. We were in touch with each other, and we'd worked together at South Notts. And he said, do you want to come over and do some work with me? And it was, again, working at club stuff, just, fun stuff. And it was me, but it wasn't me. But I enjoyed the experience to get back on the floor again. But it just so happened that one day Doug got a call from Dave Brown, an old Solent, Dave Brown, those of you in Southampton will know Dave Brown from yesteryear. And Dave is a Birmingham man, and he said that there was an opportunity that the head teacher wanted to have academies at the sixth form. So after another 2-year hiatus, what basically did, I took a year out again. I said it's 3 years in total, and I joined on board with Doug, and there you go. But it took me that long to realize that what I really was so much a better teacher than coach, and so therefore I didn't take coaching jobs or all those things because I wasn't suited, and I knew that. But it took me a long time to get to that point.
Okay, so you're at Aston Manor now, and it's referred to as Aston Manor Basketball Academy. It's part of the kind of school program, or it's an option for those who want to genuinely improve. And you can tell me a little bit about what it takes to be involved in that academy. But when I look at academies now across the UK, if there's a young kid, 14, 15, and they want to take their basketball seriously, they want to make that next kind of jump in terms of their development, and they see all these academies around the country. But unfortunately in the UK, there's no real consistency with those academies. Like, pretty much anybody can call themselves an academy. So at your academy, tell me, if you can, describe to me what makes Aston Manor Academy an academy in your idea, in your mind.
Well, I like you, Coach. I don't overused. It's lost all sense of meaning. So to me, Aston Manor basketball is basically a high school team. Okay, the thing for me, the standards, everything to me is the standards that we set internally. So we don't mirror ourselves against anybody in the world, period. It's what do we want to get done? Setting the school aside, because it's a high performing school. I've been absolutely fortunate enough to have the staff members at the school, particularly the head teacher, Jill Sweeney, with tremendous support for performance. And by that I mean the highest possible standards all of the time. And not in terms of results, but the whole outcome, our approach to teaching, discipline, execution, personal development. Those things to me set you aside. So sometimes winning doesn't really tell the truth. We've had boys already in the short time that I've been there go to the States, turn pro, get university education, otherwise they may not have gotten them. So for me, it's the all-encompassing thing that, let's just use two words, standards and execution. If you set the highest possible standards, all we have to do is create an environment where success is inevitable, measured by getting the most out of each athlete. So first of all, we're not team oriented. My priority is the individual and the skill and personal development of the athlete. So we the winning is a byproduct. We treat it somewhat differently. The individual, particularly at this level, we find in boys that still have not mastered any one single fundamental. They can run, they can jump, they can sweat. But as I've always said, sweat doesn't merely mean anything. It just means you're overworking. What we try and do is get them to understand themselves. And first and foremost, I'm not interested in team. That comes second. My team is made up of individuals. And if my individuals are talented and disciplined enough, then our team will take care of itself. So unlike most, Chris, I don't put team first. As an ex-player, I had very little skill development instruction, and I got all that way. I just often wonder, how would I have been if somebody had taught me to master those skills, not at 21, but at 15? And that's how I separate what we do from most anything else in terms of academy. I've modeled it on dance, as I said to you before, on martial arts, table tennis, on tennis. The individual, for me, is the starting point of any change in culture. The unit is in direct proportion to the quality of the people that play in it, not the other way around. To me, my biggest weakness is when I put team first, and I no longer accept that. That's just bad form to me. As an academy, as you would say, as youth development, later on down the line, their coaches like you, if you're National League men's coach, they've got to go and do it themselves. But really, they should have already acquired those skills.
Yeah.
We're a teaching school. We're very much geared towards mastery of the basics, boring as hell. We don't do tricks. I don't know how to do it myself, so forget me at YouTube. I'm still teaching. Chris, I've told you before, go right and finish, go left and finish, make a jump shot, keep the ball in front of you. From a team perspective, pass the ball to somebody in the same color shirt as you. And in Birmingham with the 1.3 million people, we have not succeeded in that city at doing that. And I really want to turn what the young boys in Birmingham and the West Midlands, because we get them from across the West Midlands, they really come in from day one, and it's how you tie your shoelaces, it's right-handed layups, left-handed chest passes. So I'm really proud of that as well. I'm really proud, because if one boy comes to you or girls comes to you, I want to know that you're going to say, you know what, that's one of the boys at Aston or one of the girls at Aston, they're prepared.
Well, look, I mean, one of the things that, again, I was fortunate enough to come and actually watch you guys work out over the Christmas period. So while other people were getting fat over turkey, your boys were in there working out.
Yeah.
You know, full days, doing a three day stint. And one of the things I remember us discussing was not really just about, you talked about what are the building blocks for developing fundamentals in our kids. We talked about footwork, the ability to shoot the ball, the ability to pass right and left, the ability to understand the game and make decisions under pressure at kind of game speed. These are fundamentals. I don't, I find it quite difficult to kind of mess with, those. It's not any more complex than that. I think some people try and make something that is actually pretty simple, more complicated than it needs to be. And I've been guilty of doing that myself in the past. But what I think the other thing that we talked about was actually some of the values that you're instilling in those kids. If they want to be successful, sometimes some of those kids first have to learn how to get out of their own way.
Chris, it's everything. Forget what you do with the ball. If it's a person, you're just wrong. How does that work when you're playing a sport where everything becomes ultimately about cooperation, self-discipline, self-awareness? I've said we had that discussion. We don't deal with self-awareness very well. I know I didn't. I got to 30 before I even thought about the word. What is that? Well, to me, I am not leaving it with my boys till they get to 30. They're going to figure out who they are real quick at any given time. They're going to learn to appreciate themselves. So things like punctuality, being on time, being disciplined, is taking care of their own needs, not mine. So if I can help them understand that these are all skills that they need for their benefit, then they're in a situation where they can pick up the ball already with those essential human qualities that allows them to be able to say, okay, I can do this with the basketball. But you can't remove one from the other. I mean, I'm not so much role modeling it. I'm just trying to make reality happen. You have to be able to decide very quickly what you want out of this. I'm not making those decisions, but once you make a decision, you then have to take the necessary steps to make it happen. How do we do that? And it's very simple rules. Get over yourself. is one of them. Realize the world, although you are a very important part of it, when you come to basketball, there are other people that rely on you. You know, if you miss a class and you can't get to basketball because your grades are not good enough, your teammates suffer. Not just you, but your teammates. You know, we've lost games that we saw before because we've got 3 or 4 kids who've not made the grade at school, so now the team suffers. And I think in any walk of life, what you're doing is creating teams, and it doesn't matter. So we use those terminologies like we say all the time. One of the big things I ask for them, are you your brother's keeper? And they'll say no. But you want to play a team game. You want the school to, you know, we say to them their biggest partner is their school. Because of the school, they get free time. They don't have to pay to go to prep school. They don't have to find $7,000 to go to an ABL team. They get to practice. They've got a free weights room, free travel. They don't have to pay subs to the National League Club. Please understand that. Your second biggest partner, you know what I mean, Chris? There's a dollar sign to that. It's a pound sign. Also, how they are with their parents. The sneakers you've got on your feet, the clothes that you're wearing, the meals that you eat. And they're not even aware of that. They just think, oh, that's the way the world works. We soon get rid of that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ball, Jordan, my relationship with George started when he was a freshman in college. That Georgetown game, the way he hit that
when he hit the shot.
I was a Hoya fan. But to be honest with you, Chris, the first college team I'd ever seen was in England, was North Carolina. They came to England in the late 70s, and they used to play in a tournament at the Phillips. Right. So if you can believe North Carolina came to Crystal Palace and played in the tournament live. So I had an affinity with the Tar Heels. So when I watched them play, they were like at that time, my 2 favorite college teams, the Georgetown Hoyas and North Carolina Tar Heels. Jordan at that time, when he hit that shot, it did change a lot. But I didn't really follow Jordan at all because I was a Magic Johnson and Larry Bird era. Okay, that was really the heart of my time. When Michael came along, it was towards the end of my career. But what was more amazing about the organization, it wasn't so much the organization, it's how we dragged the game forward. The ultra competitor, people are not as competitive as Michael. What got me was you could just see his disdain for anything that wasn't all out. And that's what I remember most. That's what I remember most about him and the Bulls. That he willed his teammate, forced his teammate, did whatever it took, but he was not having them let up. Because you've got to remember, it was 8 years before Michael Jordan won anything. He didn't come in as, he's a great college player and all that. But the Chicago Bulls, they weren't winning anything. 8 years it took him, and it's his testimony to his discipline and his hard work. But what he did, Chris, and without any doubt, he just changed the global view of the game. Nobody can say that. And that was what I was like, wow. Here's a young black man from Wilmington, North Carolina, in the middle of nowhere. He wasn't a New York City kid. He wasn't an LA kid. He was a country person who just globally dragged the sport and the culture into the next century. And I don't think you can never, ever underestimate what he did in terms of that cultural change. It really brought about to the forefront that not only did he do as an athlete, but as a young black male man, that you can transcend where you come from. You can transcend race, color, creed. It didn't matter. He did that single-handedly. MJ and the Bulls were cultural icons just because of the way they played also. And shout out to the coach, who will never get the credit he deserves, to have players like Michael and that stature and be able to find ways to engage him in the team. Phil Jackson takes an awful lot of credit.
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you so much for joining me this evening. This won't be the last time that I ask you to come on and share.
Chris, when you will, anytime. Okay, bye-bye. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.